Act 1 Scene 1. Bernardo and Francisco are talking about Ghost. Horatio and Marcellus come. All discuss about Ghost. Ghost enters. Talking about Hamlet, who is back after defeating Fortinbras. Explaining the personality of Fortinbras. They are comparing situations with others. The ghost enters and disappears again. Scene 2. The King Claudius wants everyone to move on. He talks about Fortinbras and sends a letter to Norway to stop the war. Claudius is explaining the relationship between him and Laertes' father. Laertes wants to go back to France. King is curious about Hamlet's behavior. Hamlet explains his grief. Claudius wants to forget the death of his father by giving him the reference of religion. They stop Hamlet from going to Wittenberg. First soliloquy starts. Hamlet explains the reason for his behavior to himself. Hamlet asks Horatio why he left Wittenberg. Hamlet explains his grief. Horatio tells about the ghost. Hamlet confirms that the ghost was his father. Hamlet is disturbed because he saw his father in pain. Scene 3. Laertes tells Ophelia about the immature love of Hamlet. He is growing up and belongs to a position in which he has no authority to make decisions for himself. There is a class difference between them. She should stay away from him because her virtue is important. Hamlet's love is like spring, which comes for a short time period. Ophelia reveals his brother's hypocrisy because he does not do what he preaches. Polonius gives his son advice. Polonius asks Ophelia about her relationship with Hamlet. He believes that promises of youth are fake. Scene 4. Hamlet, Horatio and Marcellus are waiting for Ghost. Hamlet explains how Claudius loves to drink, but it defames him. No one is perfect. One default makes them evil. Ghost enters. Hamlet asks his father about his bad condition. He goes after Ghost. Horatio does not believe in Ghost. Scene 5. Ghost tells Hamlet about the torture which he bared in the world. He tells him about his murder. Hamlet decides to take revenge. Ghost explains the process of his murder. Ghost asks Hamlet to take revenge on his uncle and leaves her mother for hell. Second soliloquy. He committed himself to take revenge and to forget anything else. He will forget that he is a scholar. Horatio and Marcellus take oath not to tell this to anyone. Ghost is asking for oath. Hamlet tells them how to hide the truth. Hamlet feels the burden of revenge. Act 2 Scene 1. After 2 months, Polonius is giving an order to inquire about his son Laertes. He wants complete control of his son. He uses Reynaldo. He resembles his son as a fish. Ophelia enters. He talks to his daughter about Hamlet's madness. She tells him the condition of Hamlet. She finds herself the reason for his madness. Hamlet comes to her but does not tell her anything. Scene 2. King, Queen, Rosencrantz and Guildenstern come. They all are talking about Hamlet's madness. They will be honored royally. Polonius comes and tells the reason for Hamlet's madness. Boltemarid comes with the answer of the King of Norway and tells him that they will not attack Denmark. Polonius again tries to prove the reason for Hamlet's madness. He reads the letters which he sent to Ophelia. If someone proves him wrong, he will leave his position. Hamlet says to Polonius to take away her daughter, even from himself. Hamlet asks Rosencrantz and Guildenstern about their presence in the castle. Rosencrantz thinks that Hamlet wants the kingdom. He wants to know the purpose of their arrival. Hamlet tells them that he is not fine. He says, "A man is just dust." They tell him about the arrival of the players. They talk about the reason for their arrival and their past and why they are not still famous. Hamlet says that the theater of these boys is unbearable. They talk about players, writers and dramas. They discuss the condition of the players. Hamlet wants them to perform a play which is lacking in many things, but it is still good. They talk about one act of the play. He tells the story to remind them. They talk about the story which is related to his father's death. Hamlet gives some text to add in their act. Polonius wants to change the story. Hamlet orders Polonius to take care of them. Third soliloquy starts. Hamlet is trying to understand the reason for the actor's bad feelings for the queen. He curses himself for not taking revenge. He makes a plan to confirm his uncle is a murderer through this play. Act 3 Scene 1. Rosencrantz and Guildenstern explain the behavior of Hamlet. Queen, King and Rosencrantz and Guildenstern talk about the play. King orders to check upon Hamlet and Ophelia. Polonius feels ashamed of spying on his daughter. The king is guilty of killing his brother. Hamlet's soliloquy. He gives his opinion about death. If death is like sleep, then a dream would be horrible. Death is not tough. The test after death is difficult. A person has to face the tension of life and after death. He has to be tested. We should not be afraid of this. We should do what we want. Ophelia comes to give all the gifts back to Hamlet, but he is not happy. Hamlet advises her to join church as a nun. He says everyone is a sinner and we should not give birth to sinners. He taunts her because Hamlet's mother is evil to him. He refuses to marry her. She becomes sad after his anger. King realizes that Hamlet is not mad for her. Polonius wants the meeting of Hamlet and the Queen. Act 3 Scene 2. Hamlet orders them to act perfectly. He tells them how to act well. Players should be focused on both plot and dialogue. Do not be emotional. Hamlet appreciates Horatio. Hamlet wants to observe the king's behavior. They talk about Polonius as an actor. Hamlet is shocked why everyone forgets him. Play starts. Performance starts between player King and Queen. They talk about life, enemies and friends. They perform the poison scene. The king and queen become guilty. Hamlet and Ophelia talk about love. Guildenstern tells Hamlet about the king's behavior. Guildenstern asks Hamlet about his behavior. Hamlet says he wants monarchy. Hamlet refuses to meet the king and queen. Hamlet asks Guildenstern to play the flute. He says, if you do not know how to play it, then you cannot understand my problem. When Polonius comes to call Hamlet, Hamlet starts talking about clouds. He decides to use harsh words on his mother. Fifth soliloquy. Hamlet thinks that at night evils come out so he can murder king and queen, but his heart stops him. Act 3 Scene 3. King is insecure about his kingdom. He orders Guildenstern and Rosencrantz to go with Hamlet to England. He says life of common man is attached to the king. Rosencrantz says king should take care of himself more than anyone else. He gives the example of relation between king and people. Polonius comes to king to tell him that he will hide himself to listen the conversation between Hamlet and queen. King's soliloquy starts. He asks himself why he is guilty and a king at the same time. He wants forgiveness from God. He says rich person can escape worldly justice. Hamlet comes to kill the king, but he is doing his prayer. Hamlet's soliloquy starts. He does not want to send him to heaven because Hamlet's father was not want to send him to heaven because Hamlet. Act 3 Scene 4. Hamlet kills Polonius. Hamlet says to his mother he will make her guilty if her heart is not hard with sins. He explains his rude behavior. He compares his father with his uncle. He asks her why she did that. She requests him to stop because she is ashamed. Ghost enters but she cannot see him. Hamlet asks Ghost about his action. She becomes shocked to see her son in this condition. Hamlet follows his orders. Hamlet tells his mother to just focus in her sins. He gives her advice how to get forgiveness. She should show her husband her position. He tells her that King is sending him to England to kill him. He says this conversation should be secret. Act 4 Scene 1. Queen tells King about Hamlet's madness and the murder of Polonius. King orders to find Hamlet to send to England. King wants to make his position clear. King knows that Hamlet knows everything. Act 4 Scene 2. Rosencrantz and Guildenstern ask to Hamlet of dead body and he shows them mirror. He tells them that the king is using them. Act 4 Scene 3. King talks about the punishment of Hamlet which should be different from others. Hamlet says that every person has to become a dinner of worms. He says that you should go to hell to find Polonius and the king. Hamlet agrees to go to England. King's soliloquy starts. He requests Fortinbras to kill Hamlet. Act 4 Scene 4. Captain tells Hamlet about their war for a worthless place. Hamlet says that for some money you will lose your wealth and lives. Hamlet's soliloquy starts. He questions the purpose of life. He is thankful for forgetfulness. He asks himself why he forgot his revenge. He asks himself that if a person can kill innocent soldiers for the sake of honor, then why he cannot. Act 4 Scene 5. Ophelia explains the scene of his father's grave. Everyone has to die. King believes that every problem take other problem with them. He says Laertes is also upset. Gentleman comes and tells that Laertes has become a power of people and wants to be a king. King says no one can hurt me because I am in divine protection. Laertes wants to know the truth. King wants to save his position, so he tries to calm him down and clear his position in front of Laertes. King convinces him to make difference between friend and enemy. Laertes is sad to see his sister's condition. Ophelia gives different flowers to Queen to show her feelings. Ophelia prays for her father. Laertes wants revenge. Laertes asks for secret murder of his father and his burial with no noble family. Act 4 Scene 6. Hamlet sends a letter to Horatio to explain his voyage. Act 4 Scene 7. King explains the reason why he has not punished Hamlet yet. His mother and people love him. King says to Laertes to be calm and let King take revenge. Hamlet sends a letter to King about his arrival. Laertes wants to take revenge. King makes a trap. He convinces Laertes to fight with Hamlet and kill him. Laertes decided to deal his sword in poison. King says that he will give him a cup of poisonous wine. Queen tells them that Ophelia is dead by drowning in the stream when she was collecting the flowers. Laertes becomes sad. Act 5 Scene 1. Gravediggers are talking to each other. A sinner cannot get a grave in churchyard. She is sinner because she attempted suicide. Regret is the reason of suicide. Privilege is given to her because she belongs to royal family. They talk about Adam's nobility. They ask each other questions to feel superior. Hamlet and Horatio come there. They talk about the condition of the dead. Hamlet assumes that skulls are of famous people. A person who belongs to law is also mortal. His illegal documents will never heal him. Hamlet asks Gravedigger about new grave. Hamlet tells the reality of life and death. Priest is not allowed to bury Ophelia in churchyard. Laertes becomes very upset. Hamlet explains his feeling for Ophelia. King wants Laertes to fight with Hamlet. Act 5 Scene 2. Hamlet and Horatio talk about revenge. Hamlet tells that he changed the letter. After that letter, King, Rosencrantz and Guildenstern would be killed. Osric gives message to King that his king is calling him. Osric and Hamlet talk about Laertes' fighting skills. Hamlet tries to explain his position to Laertes, but he does not believe him. Both get wounded. Queen drinks poisonous wine. Hamlet forces the king to drink remaining wine. Hamlet attacks King with poisonous sword. King and Queen die. Hamlet and Laertes forgive each other. Hamlet stops Horatio to die to tell everyone the truth. Fortinbras comes after winning the war. Hamlet says that Fortinbras should choose the new king. Ambassador tells that Rosencrantz and Guildenstern are dead. Horatio tells everyone about the truth and Hamlet declares innocent.